What's up, bros? Tomorrow is the beginning of the 21-22 NHL season, and as usual, I decided to record a video with some analytics explaining a little bit what I'm expecting from different teams. And because it would be mega boring if I would be just talking to the camera, I decided to get a product to break at the background. So I walked to my target, and luckily the hockey was the only sport for which there were actually some cards for sale. My initial plan was to get this Skybox Metal Universe blasters, but for some reason it turned out that MSRP for these blasters is like $30. I actually only figured it out at the checkout. I started checking them out, and then I hope I'm not gonna buy them if it's $30 for a blaster with not having a chance of a hit. And for that reason, I decided to get this 2021 Series 2 gravity feed. And the big advantage of this gravity feeds is if you are getting them from Target, you can actually get the whole feed for the price of one pack. That is $1.99 plus tax. So what you do, you just usually these gravity feeds are open like this. So what do? You close it, and then you bring it to the cashier, this barcode forwarding the cashier. Then what cashier will do, the cashier will just scan this barcode, and this barcode gives the price of one pack, and it will give you the whole this whole huge gravity feed box for the price of one pack. You can also do it at the self-checkout, but at the self-checkout it's a little bit shady because you're kind of stealing it. If you are doing it through the cashier, it's the cashier's mistake, and so it's completely fair game. You're not doing anything criminal. I'm actually not sure if it was the full gravity feed box, but it looks pretty full. There are quite a few of packs, and they're also very nicely arranged there. So I don't think anybody actually opened them because nobody cares about hockey cards in my Target. And but in any case, given this whole gravity feed cost me like something like $2.15, I think. It should be a great break. Like even if I don't pull anything, it will be a great. I will be able to break even with some scrap young guns. But this Series 2 from the last year is a really good product. A lot of hot rockies, so Kaprizov of course, but also Stützle and some strong second tier rooks such as Sorokin for example. So really looking forward. Seems to be a lot of packs, and I won't be commenting too much unless we will be pulling some crazy hits. I don't think that there's anything numbered, but I wouldn't mind like Stützle young guns, Kaprizov young guns, definitely. Wouldn't mind them at all, but I will be mostly speaking about my predictions for the 2021 NHL season. And tomorrow, October 12th, we will have two games. The first game, I think both of these games are pretty clear, gonna be pretty clear. So it's gonna be Tampa Bay over Pittsburgh. Tampa Bay lost some important players, in particular the third line, which was really important for them last season, but Pittsburgh doesn't have neither Crosby, doesn't have like Malkin, I'm not sure like who is like their number who is their number one center gonna be, like somebody like Jeff Carter like or something. Something like that. So I don't. Of course, in an individual game, anything can happen, but I expect like a solid and a very confident win by Tampa Bay. And the second game is gonna be two most recent league entrants facing each other. That is. Vegas is gonna be playing against Seattle, and there it's also pretty clear who that Vegas should dominate. Nothing. Seattle might have a pretty okay season, given that they are in a very weak Pacific. Division, which is it's clear that Los Angeles, San Jose, and Anaheim are not gonna make playoffs. So Seattle will have an outside chance at a pretty good chance at playoffs, I think. But Vegas is a very good team. Like I would say, one of the strongest contenders. So they have some skill. They have like a lot of physics, so definitely gonna be very difficult for Seattle. I'm not sure like who is. I look on the roster of Seattle. Yeah, there is some like good strong role players, like for example Eberle or Jonas Donskoi, but. Overall, like, what can you expect if your first center is Jared McCann? Yeah, pretty much nothing. So it's also going to be a pretty clear win to win for Vegas. But then. Of course, the division which I'm most interested in is the Metropolitan Division, because the first young gun, Philippe Desrosiers, I don't think he will be playing a lot of this season, because Bobrovsky and Spencer Knight are going to be sharing the responsibility. Yeah, because I have three local teams in the Metropolitan Division. And in terms of that division, I think it's clear that Islanders are going to be making the playoffs, because it's a well-organized team which has some top-notch talent in terms of Barzal, and a lot of good physical players, and some good like role players like Anders Lee. So it's actually not clear why this card. First, it's smaller than a usual OPG card. You can see like I'm just putting in one versus another, and then it's also much. The material is much softer. I'm not sure if what is the reason here, but the quality control by Upper Deck has been terrible recently. Yeah. So there is no way that Islanders won't make playoffs in my opinion. Will they contend? I don't think so, because they lack this top-notch talent to contend, and all the teams which are all these fast and skillful teams are gonna be really difficult for for them. In fact, this season is going to be even more difficult for them than the past season, because the past season in their divisions there was really no fast, skillful teams. The only fast, skillful team which was on their way to the Cup was Tampa Bay, and they lost to Tampa Bay. But some people might think that they were close in that series, and it was 4-3, 1-0 the last game. But if you actually watched these games, you could see that I actually watched like 2 of these games, and Tampa Bay was dominating by a wide margin in these games. This are supposed to be preventing the steal of the cards, but nothing like ringed, because in my case the cashier just scanned this back of the box once and didn't scan individual packs, but nothing code, so I'm not sure what happened. But this season, unfortunately, unfortunately for Islanders, they're gonna be also Carolina in the same division, and Carolina is a very similar team to Tampa Bay in terms of how they play. Of course, there have been a lot of volatility in terms of the roster for Hurricanes, and in particular, it seems that all these Mark Rooks are really thin cards. OPG is already the lowest level, the lowest product in terms of quality, and this is even lower quality. And in particular, I was very surprised that Carolina changed all their goalies, because Frederick Anderson and Ante Randa, they're skillful goalies, but the problem is that they both are very injury prone, and for that reason I'm a little bit suspicious about the prospects of Carolina. But if they will make the playoffs, and I think they should make the playoffs as the 4th team from the Metropolitan Division, they will be a threat to Islanders. In fact, they swept Islanders, I think, 2 years ago in 2019 playoffs, and this team only got stronger. They lost Dougie Hamilton this offseason, but I think Tony DeAngelo will offensively will compensate it pretty well, and they don't really. Carolina is not really in need of offensive defensemen. It's not their problem. I was expecting them to get a good goalie, but they didn't get one, and this brings a lot of uncertainty. But Carolina, from the way the fast, skillful hockey they play, is gonna be a big threat to Islanders as well. But for sure, Islanders will make the playoffs. Then the two other teams which will make the playoffs gonna be Washington and Pens, and the reason for that is simply that they're very old teams in terms of the age, so I don't expect much from them. But at the same time, they're very well organized teams. They have a lot of experience and a lot of skill. So in that respect, the physics won't be enough to make a deep playoff run, but certainly it will be enough to qualify for the playoffs, given how well their game is organized and how experienced the players are. And the fourth team is a little bit of a question in terms of making playoffs from the Metropolitan Division. I personally expect Carolina to make the playoffs. And they should make the playoffs. The only thing is that there have been like too many roster changes during the offseason. And I'm not that high on Kotkaniemi. I'm not sure if he's going to be a very good two-way player, which Carolina needs. Also, as I mentioned, goalies, pretty cool. McDavid, Canvas. It's gonna be goal is a big question due to being so injury prone. But they should. But if goal is at least stays semi-healthy, they should be making the playoffs. No question about it. However, if Carolina will tumble, then it's gonna be then either Philadelphia or Rangers will make the playoffs. I would say Philadelphia is slightly more likely to make playoffs compared to Rangers because their defensive lines are so much better, especially now given that they added Ristolainen, who is a very good defenseman in terms of his own zone playing, and I think it's this defense goalie-wise, Philadelphia and Rangers are gonna be pretty similar. I think Shesterkin and Hurd are both relatively young, skillful goalies. Both of them have their off moments, like we have seen a lot last season. But no major differences there. Rangers, I would say, looking just on the names, they should be better offensively. But the problem with the defense is almost absent. Because all best defensemen, Fox, Trouba, they're complete disasters in their own zone. And players like Lindgren and Kandre Miller won't be able to compensate this I would say almost at all, because Kandre Miller is supposed to be a good, a reliable defenseman, but in terms of his own zone playing, but you literally look like there are players like Yegor Sharangovich skating around him. So it's gonna be a pretty disastrous season in terms of the defensive zone and defensive zone playing. And offense is forwards actually good on the paper, but the thing is that the loss of Pavel Buchnevich is really big, because Zibanejad and Kreider are the type of forwards which take very, very long time to develop chemistry. So I think they're now going to be on the same line with Kaapo Kakko, and Kaapo Kakko is not nearly as flexible a player as what Buchnevich was, and I think for this reason it will take much longer time for Zibanejad and Kreider to develop the chemistry with him. Then on the second line, they're gonna be it's gonna be Ryan Strome as a center, a pretty second tier center, but Panarin is the type of player he can produce with any kind of center. So the second line is gonna be pretty good. Then the third line that has been a big improvement. They acquired a lot of good physical players in the off season. So the forwards on the third line are going to be much more physical than before. So it's going to be a relatively a big improvement. But given the weak defensive corps, I don't. It's like I actually learned that the odds of Rangers winning the Stanley Cup is something like 15-1, which are like very low or very high odds given the quality of the roster. So apparently a lot of people believe in them, but I personally don't. Although I will be. Because it's clear that Kaapo Kakko, who we just put, and Alexis Lafreniere, they're not gonna be the superstars which Rangers were expecting them to be, or at least it will take them 3-4 years to get there. So it's not like Matthews and McDavid, which came into the league and immediately started producing, but. This season I will be going to more Rangers games than usual, because usually I would split the games between Rangers, Devils and Islanders, but this season Devils are not even requiring any kind of vaccination or proof of vaccination to go to the games, and given what kind of rednecks usually go to these games, I won't be going there because I don't want to get COVID myself. Rangers are requiring the vaccinations, so I will be going to their games. In particular, I plan to go to the season opener on Thursday against Stars. An interesting game because Stars also underperformed vastly last season. The season before that they made it to the Stanley Cup Finals, but the last season a lot of key players were injured. So it's gonna be interesting to see where Stars as a team are going, and it's also gonna be a good test for the Rangers' defensive formations because Stars a very offensive team with players like Seguin and Radulov. So will be interesting to evaluate the defensive corps. And I also plan to go to Islanders games because they also require vaccination. But the problem with the Islanders is that they have this new arena which opens sometimes late November or even early December, I think. And the location is of that arena is really difficult to, not as difficult as to get as Nassau Coliseum, but still pretty pain in the ass. You probably need to take a train to Jamaica, and from there you need to take a cab to arena. But we'll see. Would be interesting to see how this new arena looks like. It shouldn't be anything mind-blowing, but still. I'm not sure why they just... Okay, we get a jersey card, pretty unexpected. Dylan Cousins, like Buffalo, like the clear contender, cup contender this season. Yeah, for some reason they keep building these arenas in NYC area, although except for MSG, which is very centrally allocated, there are no enough events for these arenas. If you look at like Barclays Center or Prudential Center, which are reasonably located, that is, it's easy to get there through public transportation from downtown. They maybe have like two, 3 events per week on average. So it's it's not clear why do you need another arena, but I'm not complaining because I'm not the one who is paying for that, and it's not a. What is surprising is that it's also like completely the Islanders owners, they invested their own money, so which was pretty shocking for me. So they expect to make some profits out of it. But finishing up that's an interesting last name, Entwistle. Finishing up the Metropolitan Division. Yeah, Rangers, I don't have very high expectations. Yeah, Gerard Gallant is a good coach, but he's a good coach for this very physical teams, and I'm not sure that he will find an approach to such super sensitive players. Such as Zibanejad or Panarin, so a big question mark. But the last team in the Metropolitan Division, it's pretty clear that NJD, New Jersey Devils, won't be making the playoffs. Yeah, they got Dougie Hamilton, but that's pretty useless. They already have like PK Subban, who is very similar to Dougie Hamilton. They gave a huge contract to Dougie Hamilton, but yes, Hughes and Hischer are developing, but much slower than expected as well. So, and the biggest problem is that Lindy Ruff is not the type of a coach which is good for developing this young talent. For example, like David Quinn, who was just fired from Rangers, even he would be better, although he did like questionable job developing Kakko and Lafreniere, but I think the problem is more that like Kakko and Lafreniere are not exactly up to the standards they were expected to perform at. But Lindy Ruff, like this hardcore Ken Hitchcock type coach, and these young developing players, no way that they will make the playoff. They had a strong preseason, and it is, but Devils always have a strong preseason, so it doesn't tell us. No, it doesn't tell us much. And what the hell? Oh, I think this is like this holder, which you can put like here, and then you attach it like to the wall. Okay, but okay, perhaps I'll keep it like to deliver myself and our orgasm. Yeah, so that's about the Metropolitan Division, the division which I will be following the most. What else? Of course, the teams which are the most followed, Edmonton Oilers and Toronto Maple Leafs. So I don't have much to say. because essentially nothing has changed to the compared to the previous season, except that their divisions are gonna be more difficult for them, because in Canadian division essentially nobody played any D, and now they're gonna be teams who will be playing some D. For Edmonton, of course, this Pacific division is ridiculously easy, so they will make the playoffs. And they might make it out of the second round to the conference finals, but no way that they will go further than that, because yeah, forwards are strong, but who are defensemen? And yeah, we were talking about, like, okay, so many teams are in the same situation, like Rangers also, like they have good forwards, or at least potential on the paper, good forwards, and Panarin, Kreider, Zibanejad. Then there is no D, but at least Rangers have some type of like goalies. Yeah, like Shesterkin is not exactly going to be contending for Vezina, but is a skillful, reliable goal. But for like Oilers, it's gonna be who, like Mike Smith. How old is like Mike Smith? Could be a grandfather, like, to most players on Edmonton roster. It's there are of course no age discrimination in the league, but if you are like 42, you shouldn't be in the NHL. No, unless of course you're something like Jaromir Jagr. And then the backup is like Mikko Koskinen, who probably like the league leader in terms of flops. So it's what do you expect? And Toronto, pretty much the same thing, except that the division is going to be much more difficult for Toronto. So like teams like Boston or like Tampa Bay, I don't think there are any. Even like Florida is now a very competitive team in terms of. They really got much more physical, exactly what they were lacking in the past. So should be a pretty pretty competitive team. So I think Toronto hasn't gone past a first round of playoffs for something like 20 years. Yeah, 20-year anniversary of not going past the first round. And given the division, I would honestly be surprised if they will make it to the second round of playoffs. So because you really need D, and you really need strong goaltending. In today's NHL, even like defensemen are the most important line, and I mean not actually defensemen which are good offensively, but the defensemen who are strong defensively. Because you look on a team like Islanders, yeah, like defenseman like Adam Pelech, like he's terrible. He cannot like open, even make an opening pass, but because he's so solid in his own zone, Islanders can build a simple yet efficient game around him. So. Yes, so this is gonna be the case. Then Who is the black horse of the season is, in my opinion, it's gonna be Chicago Blackhawks, because I really like signing of Seth Jones, because and Taves is coming back, so Chicago might get a pretty good two-way team. Nothing mind-blowing defensively, but a solid defense, and then a top-notch offense, hopefully due to Taves coming back. And the Central Division is also a pretty good division in terms of because there's only like Colorado is above other teams, and then Arizona is below other teams. There are no really super teams other than that. Like, St. Louis looks good. I really like the addition of Buchnevich to St. Louis. Not because I PC Buchnevich, but he is a very skillful two-way player, which is rare for a two-way player to be skillful. Then there is Dallas, which also has a little bit this offensive focus, but nothing impossible to get. To get out of this division into the playoffs, and through their experience, I can absolutely imagine Chicago to win Colorado in the second round, just because Colorado has been like always flopping. So. I think this is the reason. That's why I think I am pretty optimistic about Chicago, and of course they're gonna be, in terms of scrap teams, I won't be. Oh, Alexander Romanov. Finally, like a young guns, which is worth some mentioning. I was really getting only like pure scraps. So he didn't play that much in playoffs last year, but I think he had like 1 or 2 games in the finals because somebody got injured. Yes, so yeah, of course there's like Buffalo, Arizona, and this California teams. In terms of the scrap teams, I think Anaheim is going to be the most interesting, because Alex Zebras, what the hell, like Zebras? No, Alex Zegras, I think, is one of the main contenders for the Calder Trophy. I like him at the under 20 World Cups last year. So that's something to follow in terms of the scraps. And the last pack. Yes, so nothing. Pretty average gravity feed. Of course, would have been terrible if I would have paid the, what the hell, like, yeah, I don't know what is this. Okay, I won't throw it away. I will use it to clean my ass, so that there were, because girlfriend complained that there are too many skid marks on my underwear, so I need to clean my ass better. a pretty, I would say, given that I got it for the price of one pack plus tax, something like 215 or 216. It's obviously pretty good, but the only card worth mentioning is the Romanov Young Guns, and then like some scraps. Pagansky, Stuart Skinner. Yeah, but surprisingly, we also got this jersey card from the worst team of the NHL.